What's going on, guys? My name's Ethan Carroll on the channel, and today I want to talk about Google Stadia and why the announcement of the Google Stadia shutdown and the fact that Google Stadia is shutting down in literally 2 days at the time of me uploading this video is kind of disappointing and what it kind of says about the game industry. Now, for those you don't know, right, Google Stadia was backed by a massive company in Google, which is a $1 trillion company, and they couldn't break into gaming. Obviously, they're huge in mobile gaming with the Android App Store and obviously whatnot, but when it comes to console and PC gaming, Google's nothing. So they figured, hey, we're going to make our own game platform because they saw that gaming is obviously such a big industry, makes so much money, and well, what did they come up with? They came up with Stadia, which is a cloud gaming service. Which, if you look at my channel, you know that I'm not really a fan of Stadia. I wasn't really a fan of the platform, but you know, it's reached their own. You know, if you were a fan of Stadia, I'm sorry this happened, but Google basically recently announced that Stadia shut down. And why is this bad? Because first of all, it gives us less options for game platforms. Right, with gaming, obviously, something that's always been important is the amount of platforms there are. You know, if there's obviously just Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they're your only options. And if obviously, say, like we had in the Xbox One, PS4 generation, they're not able to compete equally, and one company competes at a higher level than the other, it's bad for gaming and bad for consumers because then, well, there's not as much competition in the market because one company's seriously weaker than the other when it comes to how they go about gaming. Google could have been a huge force in gaming. Let's be honest, Google Stadia could have been a dominant force in gaming if Google had, first of all, marketed properly. Second of all, had gotten enough games, whether they be new games, legacy games, or exclusive games added to the service for the launch. Now, Stadia launched with about 22 games, which most of them were pretty old by the time they came out, and people just weren't interested. Now, at this point, Stadia isn't really seen as much besides a failed project and another footnote in Google's long history of scrapping projects. But to me personally, I feel like the loss of Google Stadia is quite sad and quite bad for a lot of people who are gamers. Because for those who don't know, some people may not even had a console. Some people may have only had Stadia, right? And then now they might have gotten Destiny characters transferred and a few Ubisoft games if they owned them for PC. And that's really all they've done. Google hasn't really done much to compensate those people that obviously they spent all this money on games. Obviously, they're getting their refunds, but people aren't getting the games. People wanted the games, and they're not getting that. And obviously, it's just a bad look the way they've exited the gaming industry in a way where they just kind of like threw in the towels. Like no, because Stadia didn't even last 3 years. Well, before they announced the shutdown, and they didn't spend enough to get the games. They didn't get the right games, and they didn't really promote it well enough. Right? Stadia failed because Google is Google. Google thought they could just release a service, slowly fix it over time, and hope it makes money. Hope people were interested. And not gonna lie, it didn't work. You know, Google needed to be something serious. Google needed to have of its own studios pumping out exclusive games. They shut them down after 18 months. That was never gonna. It was never gonna work. And we're at a point with Stadia where Stadia was obviously people weren't talking about it. Nobody was really using Stadia, and obviously people weren't developers weren't making games for Stadia. So to me, Google probably just looked at the future, looked ahead, and was like, you know what, we're not going to be a number one. We're not going to be a major player. Let's just pull a plug. And to me, that's quite disheartening because Google could have easily outspent Sony, outspent Nintendo to at least try and be level with Microsoft, and they could have bought some big studios. They could have bought a load of studios and made some great games. They could have paid for all these different games come to Stadia and whatnot, but they didn't. Stadia had the problem of it not having enough games, not having very good marketing, and being a Google product. Because for those who don't know, there's literally a website called Killed by Google. So people were expecting Stadia to fail because Google is Google, and Google tends to cut projects after a few years if they're not wildly successful straight away. And to all the gamers out there who obviously were just huge Stadia players and haven't got other systems yet or haven't found a way to deal with gaming this loss, chin up. You'll find another platform you like, whether it be Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, GeForce Now, in Steam, or even Netflix, for instance. There's another platform that you will enjoy playing games on. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. I've been Eve Kate, and I'm signing out. Peace.